My name is Kora, and welcome to MediaWhorz, where we get screwed by it so you don't have to. Guys, I don't think that slogan is gonna work.
Shut up, we'll fix it in editing.
Fine. Anyway, as this is our first review, we decided that we should start with a movie that most people are probably at least remotely familiar with. And that is why we'll be taking a look at 2002's Spider-Man. Spider-Man was a critical and financial success, and it served, along with Bryan Singer's X-Men, to revive the superhero subgenre, which has since become a mainstay of the summer movie season. In fact, most of those graphic novel-based blockbusters that you see nowadays probably owe a debt of gratitude to Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man focuses on the origins of Spider-Man/Peter Parker, who is played by Toby McGuire. It also spends time focusing on his infatuation with Mary Jane Watson, who is played by Kirstin Dunst, and finally his battle with the alter ego of his best friend's father, Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, who is in turn played by Willem Dafoe. So, let's do whatever a spider can as I throw it to the round table. And our round table is staffed by Birdie, Caveman, Jimmy Esco, and myself. Okay, so let's start off with the director Sam Raimi. His films are generally somewhat campy. Most people probably don't know this, but James Cameron was originally slated to direct this film.
Wait. When we're talking campy, are we talking Adam West Batman campy, or are we talking Evil Dead campy?
Or Godzilla campy?
We're talking, Evil Dead Darkman campy.
But that's awesome camp! What's wrong with camp?
Well, it's fine, but it's certainly a wackier version than what you would get with James Cameron directing.
This is Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, a certain level of camp certainly comes with the territory, but I feel that at points it may have been in excess.
There is such a thing as too much camp.
True.
Plus, there is this sense that the camp is just a little too, ingrained into the actual plot. We discussed this feeling that there's almost like a god machine in the background to ensure that if the plot demands something, then it happens. Even when it makes almost no sense whatsoever.
Oh, I see. Like a New Yorker who doesn't realize that a photographer just shot webs from his hands.
Or muggers who chase Mary Jane just 5 seconds after she, runs into Peter.
You know he paid those guys to chase her down.
You know he waited to make sure that rain just got her soaking wet.
Oh, hells yeah.
And look, I know I don't have the right to pick apart all of the pseudoscience mumbo-jumbo that they throw about, because this is, after all, a comic book film. But in some of these fight scenes, there are just some basic physics issues here. Someone gets punched and they just fly off in a straight line like there's no gravity, no arc of descent.
It's almost as if they're on a wire!
No more wires!
Of course, these special effects are 8 years old.
Yeah, I know, but it does serve to break the immersive nature of the movie a bit, and it is a rather nitpicky complaint for such a wacky film, but it just kept nagging at me.
We do need to give Sam Raimi credit, though, because he was able to get Bruce Campbell to do a cameo as the fight announcer in this film.
Yeah, seriously, how did 4 complete nerds like us not realize that until now?
I don't know. I own this film on VHS and I never noticed. Apparently he's in all 3 movies. I should have recognized him from Burn Notice. After all, he pretty much plays the exact same role here that he does on the show. Handing you your identity and then telling you that your ideas suck.
And they have the Macho Man, Randy Savage, who camps it up as the wrestler Bonesaw McGraw.
You'd think that Bruce Campbell would rename him Chainsaw McGraw.
It's probably because he was sawing a bone in the back room.
I'm not touching that.
I'd hope not.
But, moving on, we have Tobey Maguire's Parker, and of course his Spider-Man.
The man of two faces, the I'm a dork face, and I'm a sad dork.
He doesn't seem to have immersed himself properly in the role, and it leads to this strange sensation that he's out of place, sort of like,
Stalker man, does whatever a stalker can.
Actually, you're kind of onto something. I think my issue here is not his acting, but the fact that he often feels insanely lame, even after he gains his powers. In fact, let me revoke my previous statement about his acting. I think that sense of awkwardness I was trying to identify is probably just a byproduct of the script hamming it up.
You sure about that? At points it feels like he has all the emotional range of Keanu Reeves.
I really think that is due to the dialogue. I was quick to start hammering away at McGuire's performance, but I think in hindsight that was unfair. I mean, really, who else would you have play Parker? Leonardo DiCaprio?
Fair enough.
Yeah, I guess he works. Still, the most brilliant casting choice was Willem Dafoe in the role of Norman Osborn.
Also known as the Goblin Ranger.
Go, Goblin Rangers!
But seriously, Willem Dafoe as Osborn is a brilliant choice. You've got to admit that. All they have to do to make him look insane is to remove his makeup.
He's a natural crazy.
Yeah, it's strange, but the Green Goblin is actually crazier as Willem Dafoe than Willem Dafoe is as the Green Goblin.
True, but we have to discuss that outfit. I mean, when it comes to comics, the characters are often infused with large amounts of color to make them seem energized. It's a way of providing liveliness to an otherwise frozen medium.
But that isn't necessary with a movie.
Exactly, there's no point in having this bright green when the character already moves on his own. Plus, isn't the suit military hardware? You'd think it would have like some variation of camouflage, but I can't imagine this suit camouflaging into any setting. Well, maybe Mardi Gras.
Wait, pull up the second line from the first episode of Treme.
You mean this?
I knew it! You know why I knew it? Because it fits so well. That's New Orleans for you, man.
But seriously, the design for that helmet is just strange. You can't help but wonder where he got something like that. And the same goes for those pumpkin bombs.
Bladed bomb, explosive bomb, gas bomb, licorice bomb, and many more flavors brought to you by Jelly Belly Bomb Squad.
Where the hell does he keep them all? In the comics he had a satchel, but...
They probably dropped out the back of the helmet.
Well, that explains the weird design.
Yeah, but the strangest bomb was the one that just turned people to skeletons. It doesn't damage anything else around it, it just turns people into skeletons. I call it the Thriller bomb.
Thriller, thriller.
I mean, where do you get something like that? eBay?
Evil Bay.
Do your enemies still possess an annoyingly large amount of flesh? Help them shed those unwanted organs with the Thriller bomb. Evil Bay. Buy, sell, kill. Evil Bay. For all of your villainous needs. Warning, may cause postmortem dancing.
Also, at one point, the Goblin gasses Spider-Man so that he can abduct him and have a private conversation with him. But why didn't he take the opportunity to learn Spider-Man's identity? I mean, gassing him and not removing his mask? That's like gassing a chick and not removing her shirt.
Right.
Well, we can't forget the most useless tool at Osborn's disposal.
Yeah, his son Harry.
You mean generic guy number 7?
Can be purchased right next to the Chanel number 5. I mean, James Franco's role in this film is pretty minor.
I wouldn't really call it a role. I mean, he's just there to...
He's filler, essentially.
He's man filler.
Oddly enough, that's also found next to the Chanel number 5. But I hate to backtrack, but let me say that the conclusion to the battle between the Goblin and Spider-Man involved one of the most retarded strategies ever. What's more, this strategy is attempted by a character who is supposed to be a genius. Without giving too much away, what is attempted is akin to trying to shoot someone by aiming the gun through your own head.
What can we say? Norman really wanted to impale Spider-Man, even if it meant having Spider-Man inside of him.
No one could understand their love. One spider, one goblin, one desire.
Still, I think we've poked at spoilers a little too much here, so let's take a look at Mary Jane. I personally like Kirstin Dunst as an actress, but I will say that she is almost nothing like Mary Jane from the comics. Of course, that may be an improvement, but...
Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. Mary Jane had no place in this movie. It should have been Gwen Stacy. Go fuck yourselves for fucking up continuity when you're trying to actually retell the story.
Come on, they're not trying to maintain continuity with the comics. They're trying to...
Well, of course not. They gave him spinnerets in his wrists.
I'm gonna agree with Birdie on this one.
They took away the fact that he was a genius chemist.
That didn't bug me, because I've always thought to myself that the web canisters would have to be the size of freaking kegs. So I personally felt that it didn't make sense either way, so...
Well, I'll side with Caveman on the spinnerets. They should have been coming out of his anus.
They did come out of his anus. Remember when he hung upside down?
Oh, they feel so good coming out, but so wrong going back in.
Anyway, the fact of the matter is that most of the country, including me, feels that Mary Jane is the girl.
She is more iconic.
I should preface this by saying that this is a bit of a spoiler, but towards the end of the movie, they reenact the famous scene from the night Gwen Stacy died. And personally, I just wanted her to die.
Yeah, I would have let that one fall.
With violence!
And of course there's that contrived concept that she can't recognize that Spider-Man has Parker's voice, but once she kisses him, the possibility occurs to her.
She was in so deep that she could recognize him by his tonsils.
The tonsil whisperer.
She probably went into everyone's mouth trying to identify who Spider-Man was. She probably kissed everyone, except for Aunt May. On screen, anyway.
Hey! Her tonsil senses are tingling!
Let's take a final minute to look at the man, the legend, the Jameson.
Oh my god, he was so well cast.
He looks like J. Jonah. You see him on screen and you think, oh shit, I'm gonna get fired. He's got the cigar, he's got the almost Hitler stash, he's got that skunk do where you could stand him on his head and he wouldn't fall over. And the interactions are perfect. Parker's like, can I have a job? And Jameson comes back with, no, but you can have a paycheck and I'll fire you repeatedly.
Well, in conclusion, the film was certainly campy, sometimes to a fault. It never really explored any serious themes or attempted to reach the heights that more recent superhero films have, but it was a good start. It was by no means one of the worst that this subgenre has to offer. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see a redemption for Daredevil in the future, but I'm going to be giving Spider-Man a bargain bin rating. For the record, that is essentially a 7 out of 10 rating, and it applies to the kind of film that, if you saw it on sale for cheap, there's no real significant reason not to buy it.
I'd give it a low bargain bin. I'd pick it up, but not if I only had like $10 and there was already another movie in my hand that I wanted.
I think you're both too generous. I'd give it a high late-night double feature. It's about a 6 out of 10. It's the kind of film where I might stay up a little late to watch it, but I wouldn't put any more effort into it than that.
I'd give it a bargain bin because I enjoyed this film enough that I'd considered buying it despite the crappy physics and the, really, really quirky fights.
Well, with 3 bargain bins and 1 late-night double feature, the overall MediaWhorz rating for this film is bargain bin. So, in the immortal words of Edward R. Murrow, good night, bitches.
Turn and face the strain.